of the Equality Act, the leaked document implies that there will be transgender people who have lived in their acquired gender, perhaps for decades. They could be confronted and questioned about their sex. That's undignified and intrusive, isn't it?
What's undignified and intrusive is coming into a space that is not for your sex, that is there for the other sex. Nobody should be trying to use a space that is not for their sex. Helen Weberly said that gender reassignment changes people's sex. It doesn't. It doesn't do that in reality, and it doesn't do it in law. They're separate characteristics. The Supreme Court was very clear on that. So a trans woman is a man for the purposes of the Equality Act and in reality. And we can all tell who the men and the women are by using our eyes and ears. It's how humanity has done it all along.
If I saw a 6-foot man going into a female...
Well, don't worry too much about the height, but yes, a bloke, a big
someone
man...
Someone you can really tell is clearly male.
What would be going through your mind?
You're answering. If that is a transgender female, they have the right to go in whatever they look like. We can't be the looking police. We can't say, excuse me, you don't look female enough to go into my toilet. It's just an awful place to be.
I mean, where are trans women supposed to go, Helen Joyce?
Can I just point out that this means that anyone can go into the ladies, anyone can go into the gents, because we're literally not meant to be able to say to anybody, it's clear that you're not a man, it's clear that you're not a woman. So this is just an end to all sex-separated spaces.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. Today, guys, we're back again with a new video, guys. I'm here with Bambi. This is going to be good. This is a gender debate, and it's going to blow a lot of people's mind. What happened during this video is going to expose the hypocrisy of the left, the hypocrisy of the liberals, and it's a shocker.
Let's start the debate with this question. Establishing what we mean by sex and what we mean by gender. Helen Joyce.
Sex is biology. It's the thing that allows for sexual reproduction. It's the thing that's existed on this planet for more than 1 billion years. In mammals, half the mammals are male, half the mammals are female, and we're mammals. So half of us are men, half of us are women. That can't change. Mammals can't change sex. Some other animals can. Gender is an ambiguous word. Some people use it as a polite synonym for sex. Some people mean the stereotypes that people perform. Some people mean an inner feeling that's hard to define. So I tend not to use that word because it's too ambiguous.
What about you, Helen Weberly? What do you mean or establish by the word sex and gender?
Well, everyone says that sex is biology, and Helen here has just said that it's about reproduction. But there's, the chromosomes, the sexual function, the reproductive system, it's very various in humans, and to say that there's just one or the other is incorrect. There aren't just two ways that a body can be made. But whereas gender is a deep personal identity of somebody, of how somebody lives their life, how they express themselves, how they see themselves, and that's, as we know, is completely unrelated to their chromosome pattern or their organs, their anatomy.
What do you say about that complete distinction that is being made there by Helen Weberly in terms of gender?
I mean, first, it's just not true. There are only two sexes. And the reason there are only two sexes is because there are only two gametes. And the gametes are the thing that define the sexes. This is established in biology. But then this deep inner feeling, if sex is so nebulous, as Helen Weberly says, then how on earth is somebody meant to have this deep inner feeling? Like, what does it mean to feel like a boy or a girl if you don't even know what boy and girl mean? This just sounds like personality to me, or I don't know what it sounds like. It's just not defined.
Helen Weberly?
Well, it's like, what do you mean by personality? Okay, if it is personality, what's wrong with that? It's how somebody wishes to live their life. It's how somebody sees themselves,
so stereotypes.
How somebody fits into this world.
Stereotypes?
Well, why is a personality a stereotype? I don't see it as a stereotype. And what do you mean by that?
But I mean, like, to call it something that's to do with being a boy or a girl, like, what? I mean, I just don't know what you mean. If a child comes out of the mother, everyone says that's a little boy because that's the body of a little boy, and then at some point that child says that they have a girl gender identity. What does that child mean if girl doesn't mean anything? If girl just means people who have a
girl doesn't mean anything?
Well, you did, because you haven't given us a definition.
It's
It's just circular. You've just said, it's a deep personal identity. You said that girl, girls, there are many sexes, sex is varied, it could be chromosomes, it's nothing to do with your biology, You haven't given us something that somebody could talk about as a target for what it might mean to think that you are like a girl. You just had gone around in circles.
Well, goodness, I didn't think I'd had enough words to go around in circles, but there you go. I mean, your comment was there are only two sexes, and that's because there are only two gametes.
Yep.
I think to boil the whole of humanity down to gametes, and for those who don't know what gamete is, it's basically an egg or a sperm. To say that the whole of humanity is to be dictated by whether your body produces eggs or sperm is so mathematical, so binary, so basic. It's actually a basic misunderstanding of biology.
No boiling down, no reducing to. We just come in two types.
Yes.
You're a boy or you're a girl. Do anything you like. Do not let it hold you back. Go to the moon, be the president, anything you like, but you'll still be a boy or still be a girl.
But you
That's
boiled it down to gametes. You're saying you either have ovaries or testicles, but there are many different variations.
There really aren't.
There are people who are. But you're not a biologist, you're not a doctor. How do you know? You sit there shaking your head saying there really aren't.
What are the variations, Helen Weberly?
Well, in terms of biology, which is, I think, Helen Joyce is trying to explain, we do have chromosomes, and there are many different patterns of chromosomes. We do have reproductive organs, and there are different variations. Not everybody is born with XX and 2 ovaries, a womb.
Are you talking about
vagina.
intersex? People being born intersex?
Well, you can use that term. There's many different chromosomal patterns.
But what does this have to do with gender identity anyway?
Well, no, because they're completely different. Exactly, you're grasping it. So biological sex is very different to gender identity, absolutely, and one is not dictated by the other.
There are 2 body plans, and there are sometimes anomalies, and they are very rare. But there are only 2 body plans.
Can I just put this question to you, Helen Weberly, about bodies, about biology?
Mm-hmm.
If we look at the proportion of trans women in terms of operations or surgery to remove their penises, what number are we talking about? What proportion, roughly, of trans women have had that kind of surgery?
I don't think we know that data, but when I last looked at that kind of data, I think around about 12% of people who reassign their sex choose to have genital surgery.
So it's low?
12%.
Yes, I mean that is low.
Very
Would
low.
you agree?
Well, it depends what level you're comparing it with.
Well, I'm comparing it to anything that's above 12%, but it is a pretty
Yes,
low
like
figure. Does that
100
surprise
all.
you?
No, that's about what I thought it was too. Most trans women are just completely standard physiological men.
Right. I mean, taking that into account, Helen Weberly, do you think that a predatory man would ever use a transgender identity to get into a female-only space, like a hospital ward, a prison, or a changing room?
I think it's a very dangerous thing to associate transgender women with predatory men. So some men, whether they are trans women in identity or whether they are male in identity, some people, if you like, who have XY chromosomes, if we leave it there, will be predatory. But the difficulty is when we make that association that trans women automatically equals predator.
Well, I don't think anyone will say it automatically equals it, but at the same time, Helen Weberly has a point. It is a dangerous thing to link the two if we're talking about predatory men across the piece.
What's very dangerous is taking down the boundaries that keep male people out of spaces that female people need there to be no male people
But
in.
a predatory man might gain entry in some way or another.
And so do you leave your front door open when you go out just because a burglar might get in? Otherwise, we can't.
Good.
Nothing is foolproof. We have systems in order to safeguard. No safeguarding is perfect. We say no male people here, knowing that some men may come in, but the rule is clear cut. It's no men, it's no male people, and when we soften that boundary, we make it easier for bad people to come in. The people who use loopholes are precisely the worst people. So we have to be very clear, and that's no male people. The people who use loopholes are the worst people. If you have a loophole, bad people go through it.
Do you think there should be those protections then to reduce and minimise the risk that somebody might ever use or abuse? As you say, you don't want it equated with transgender or being a trans woman, that they should be minimised when it comes to sharing those spaces.
Well, I think what Helen said was that no male should enter a female space, and I think we solved the argument because transgender women are female. They are female, and
biologically male, Helen Joyce would say.
She might say, but the Equality Act...
And many people would.
Well, if I might just go back to the Equality Act. The Equality Act protects 2 characteristics. It protects sex, and it also protects gender reassignment. And gender reassignment in the Equality Act is reassigning your sex. That's what the definition is.
But you have
And
just
so-
said it's a very, well, I said it was a low figure, but you said it's only around 12% who have that sort of surgery.
Which doesn't change your sex anyway.
Excuse me. The surgery is unrelated to that. In the Equality Act, your gender reassignment, you don't have to have surgery.
Can I just ask you then, Helen Joyce, how comfortable are you that under the leaked guidance that we've had today, the Supreme Court was very clear that biological sex is the definition of a woman and a man. And for the purposes of the Equality Act, in that sense, we can talk about protected characteristics later on, but in terms of the Equality Act, the leaked document implies that there will be transgender people who have lived in their acquired gender, perhaps for decades. They could be confronted and questioned about their sex. That's undignified and intrusive, isn't it?
What's undignified and intrusive is coming into a space that is not for your sex, that is there for the other sex. Nobody should be trying to use a space that is not for their sex. Helen Weberly said that gender reassignment changes people's sex. It doesn't. It doesn't do that in reality, and it doesn't do it in law. They're separate characteristics. The Supreme Court was very clear on that. So a trans woman is a man for the purposes of the Equality Act and in reality. And we can all tell who the men and the women are by using our eyes and ears. It's how humanity has done it all along.
How can you tell? How can you always tell that somebody who, yes, maybe arrives at a communal changing room, maybe goes to the theatre and wants to use the loos, the lavatories that their gender have acquired, what is it that tells you immediately, I know what sex you are?
Are you ever puzzled when you look at the people around you, what sex they are? Because I'm not. And it's no one feature. We're very, very good at recognising sex. It's a sealing attribute of humans that we can tell what sex people are. 99.99% accuracy, instantaneously.
Well, I clearly disagree with that. And I think, to boil down in 2025 in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, that we're actually going to let people's, what they look like, dictate which facility or service they're allowed to use by what they look like. I can't believe that we would even think to go back to that.
If you saw a 6'2" man with a beard and he was speaking and you could hear his voice was very deep and he went into the ladies' changing room after a 6-year-old girl, would you think there might be something wrong here?
Helen, you talk about the 6. Your arguments are always, it's got to be over 6 foot.
No, I'm just asking you. I'm giving you a specific example.
And I'm answering. And it's got to go in after a 6-year-old girl, and it's a man.
But yes or no?
I haven't finished. Can you let me finish? The thing is, we're talking. And used to call him a man. Men don't go into the female spaces.
Sometimes
women
they do.
and transgender women are women, and they go into female spaces. And the fact that you portray this 6-foot man over 6 foot going in after a girl, all the image you want to give is this man is so dangerous. I don't think that we in our society should be portraying men as automatically dangerous.
But what is your answer to the specific? Just for argument's sake, if you saw that scenario, what would you be thinking, Helen Weberly?
If I saw a 6-foot man going into a female...
Well, don't worry too much about the height, but yes, a bloke, a big
someone
man...
you can really tell is clearly male.
What would be going through your mind?
You're answering. If that is a transgender female, they have the right to go in whatever they look like. We can't be the looking police. We can't say, excuse me, you don't look female enough to go into my toilet. It's just an awful place to be.
I mean, where are trans women supposed to go, Helen Joyce?
Can I just point out that this means that anyone can go into the ladies, anyone can go into the gents, because we're literally not meant to be able to say to anybody, it's clear that you're not a man, it's clear that you're not a woman. So this is just an end to all sex-separated spaces. So, I mean, where are transgender women meant to go to the toilet? If they're not happy using the men's, which is where they should go because they are men, then hopefully there's a gender-neutral option for them. If there isn't, I'm afraid they're going to have to use the men's, because what is out of order is using the women's because they are not women, they are male.
What do you say to that, Helen Weberly?
The Equality, I'm just going to go back to real basics. The Equality Act protects people who reassign their sex. And you don't have to have had surgery, you don't have to take hormones, you reassign your sex. And people like Helen Joyce will always say, oh goodness, they're just going to go in and pretend. But there are over 262,000 transgender people in our country who need the security to go into spaces that align with their gender identity. And frankly, for us to sit here and permit the language that says a transgender woman is a man is against the law, because and actually the Crown Prosecution Service would consider that as a hate crime. Transgender women are women.
But in terms of the Supreme Court ruling, it has said very clearly, for the purpose of the Equality Act, that sex is biological.
Yes. So remember we said earlier that the Equality Act looks at two characteristics, sex and gender reassignment. But the Supreme Court ruling, which is only an interpretation of the law, and there are many who say that it's not, does not say that, as you mentioned earlier, and if I might disagree with you, it does not say that transgender women are men. It still absolutely protects transgender women as women, but then when it was talking about sex as a protected characteristic, it said for the sex one we are talking about biology, but it didn't erase the gender reassignment as a protected characteristic, which means it's real.
It hasn't erased gender reassignment surgery, but for the
purposes,
not
surgery, gender reassignment.
But for the purposes of people who are providing services and single spaces, sex is biological. That was very clear. Well, that was very clear. Well, we can debate that.
I will just say Sex Matters intervened on the winning side in the Supreme Court judgment, and we were thanked for our submissions. What you've just heard from Helen Webberley is completely wrong. Our submissions were accepted, and of course what the Supreme Court says is the law. This is ridiculous to say they aren't the law.
This is a full-grown woman who is just acting stupid. Like, this is the era we are in. People can't even differentiate what a woman is and what a man is. Like, it's crazy. It's really, really crazy. But the scenario is that they use that a full-grown man dressed as a man going to the female restroom, and there's also like other women in the female restroom, just because he identifies as a woman. It's very threatening. It's scary, like extremely scary. I cannot allow my daughter to be in the same female restroom with a delusional man who thinks he's a woman. It's very scary. Because if we are to allow that man into the restroom, then there's no point of us having female restroom or male restroom. We should just have all restroom, all genders.
Yes.
Do you understand? That's what we should do. And it's not safe. If a biological woman go into the male restroom, do you understand? It's bad. But it's not as threatening as when a biological man go into the female restroom. It's extremely threatening. It's extremely threatening. It's terrible. If I will say that, it's really, really terrible. This woman who was just gaslighting everything, this woman who, Helen, she tends to gaslight every single thing they said in this video. She's really, really good at it.
For me, I feel Helen is delusional. But I'll tell you why. I believe liberals are people who like to say, yo, they both deserve to be in the same washroom. But if Helen Webberley's doctor is entering a washroom and she see a man entering that washroom with her daughter, she's not going to allow it.
Period. True.
They are just big hypocrites. Think about it. There's no way a logical thinking person would say, I am comfortable with my daughter entering the same washroom with a man. I'm not trying to say the man is going to harm your daughter or anything, but it's not supposed to be so.
It's not safe.
There's a reason why there are male bathrooms and female bathrooms. Like, there's a huge reason why the difference is clear. Women are meant to be protected.
True.
Seriously, men are prone to some certain things. I'm not trying to say all men are violent or all men want to commit crime, but like, it's better to be safe than sorry. That's why we lock our door. Not because a thief cannot break into it, but you have to be safe than sorry. You have to put things in place, not letting you open your door and expecting people not to like enter into the room. So I feel it's sad for you to see women actually trying their best to destroy womanhood, because that's all I can see. If you think about it, like, there are things that have been set in place just so you are protected and you feel safe. Women, the funny thing about it is that some women don't feel safe enough. And now people are trying to create this kind of access to women. It's so sad. Like, it's so sad that you can see that it's women actually fighting against themselves.
True. It's very extremely sad, like as you said. And the Supreme Court have actually ruled this out. If you have XY, you are a male. If you have XS, you are a female. Period. You don't have to twist any word. This Helen Webberley, she's trying to twist everything. She's trying to make trans woman something, whereas it's just a biological man. It's just a biological man.
And if you think about it, please, sorry to add, like, if you want to be a biological or if you want to be a trans woman, cut it off.
Straight.
It's that simple. You can imagine 12%. That should be 100. I cannot just wake up a day and say I feel like I'm a woman, so I'm a woman. It does not like it means I'm mad. That's not how life works. You have to actually show signs that you're a woman. You don't just wake up and say you're a woman. Cut it off. Then we understand. Yes, he's no longer a man. He's now a woman. Yes, then it will begin to make sense since it's no longer there.
Is it this Helen Weberly, when they asked that scenario about a full-grown man with a beard going to the female restroom, she fully accepts the fact. She said that we should not try to like restrict who goes into the female restroom. It makes no sense. Like, I feel like she's a hypocrite. She's someone who preach but don't do what she preach. That's who she is, and it's really, really terrible. Such people like this is who is running our country. Do you understand? And I love the host. She did not cite any person, but she just states the facts.
No, she was hiding actually.
For me, she does state the facts. The fact is that a biological man is not supposed to go to the female restroom. That's the facts.
The word for trying to put logic, yes, because the work understand that what Helen Weberly was saying does not make sense. So if you understand, she was trying to be neutral, but like she's looking at Helen like, do you know what you're saying?
Because even an 8 years old knows the difference between a man and a woman.
Yes.
So how we a full-grown woman, Helen Weberly, can't even differentiate them because you're afraid of hurting someone's feeling, because you want to lie to yourself. Because if the trans woman is telling us to call her a woman, then we are lying to ourselves. We all know she's a man.
Yes.
Because you can differentiate a man from a woman just by your eye seeing and also by your ear.
So
when they speak, you'll be able to tell. When you see them, you'll be able to differentiate them. It's obvious. There is nothing to gaslight here. You state the fact how it is. This entire debate was actually beautiful to watch. I love every moment of it. I love the way they owned Helen Wembley. They destroyed her facts. They destroyed her perspective. They destroyed her scenario. They destroyed her belief, or should I call it? They destroyed her ideology.
Yeah.
This entire debate was epic. It was good. I enjoyed every moment of it. And this ought to be seen by a lot of people. And this hypocrisy of the left pushing, also the liberals pushing, it ought to stop.
Yeah.
We have to differentiate between a man and a woman. We should stop putting a word before a man, a word before a woman. What the heck is this woman? A woman. Period. X, Y, and XX. Period. That's it. Comment down below what you think about this video. Give us a thumbs up. Share this video to as many as come. Subscribe to our channel, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe.